and we went in what was called a 5 right plus, which is a sort of a 50 a corner. And of course McRae in full maximum attack mode went in flat out in 6th gear, and there was just no way we were going to make the corner.
Another roll for McRae.
Yeah, it's okay. We all miss him. I was on hour 4 of editing this video and a little voice popped into my head and said, you know, no one's going to watch this, don't you? Rally games are a little niche, but they're very important for me. They go back right to some of the earliest consoles I ever owned. TOCA, Conor McRae, Codemasters being a staple name. Sega Rally could have been the actual first real video game I ever played, brackets arcade. Now, if you follow the WRC games, they've gone a little bit like Madden or anything that's a big franchise sports ownership label, like the Formula 1 games. They're getting churned out every year and it's becoming confusing. They've dropped the numeric number. I want to push everyone in the right direction because I have a little bit of experience with this and point everyone to the best rally game on 8th and 9th gen, and surprisingly it's not a WRC game. What's also surprising is this is from Codemasters. There's something else I want to stipulate that I feel is extremely important. None of this footage is on a wheel or pedal. I have never owned that setup, can you believe? Mainly because of the large cost and the space. And I think that's also a testament to why rally games fall into two camps. You're either completely obsessed with all of it because you own that equipment, or you're just done with trying to get around these courses with a pad. I actually don't mind the pad. I know that's a disadvantage if I'm racing online or setting any times, but it's just something I've always got my head round. And using some of the haptic feedback, some of the noises, that's something I want to discuss with the newer WRC games. So I want to hear back from you if you do have a big system and which one of these games is your go-to.
380. Crest 30.
Okay, what you are looking at here is EA Sports WRC. That's the newest. It's just gone on Game Pass, and this is running on my poor old PC, hence this horrendous frame rate and 1080 aspect. The factors that I'm scoring these games on are also pretty damn weird. I love the replays. I want beautiful, amazing looking replays. I own a 9th generation system. There's no reason why I can't see it looking amazing. The second is tracks and cars, particularly legacy cars and locations. And also back to that replay aspect, I want to see dissipation, smoke, detailed, in-depth mechanics on these replays and in-game to do with the environment. I just feel that rally games are very much getting left behind with engine. You see stuff in Cyberpunk 2077 that puts a rally game to shame, and that should not be happening at the moment. This newest WRC has a blatant advantage over all of the games coming up because it's hot off the press and using some of the newest tech, but the pop-in is everywhere on these replays. That goes for the next couple of games. This list is also in ranked order. We're going to be looking at 4 different rally games, so I've started with the newest and it is not very strong out of the gate. Just not that exciting roster of cars and no split screen. That's been gone for years now. We'll come up to that. And just again, as mentioned, not the jaw-dropping graphics I was expecting, but I haven't played this on an official 9th gen console.
4 left, half long. And 4 right short, 40. Left of the crest, and 5 right, 130.
I will say those headlights look pretty good, and some of the water and snow spray effects in sections of the replays looks okay, but none of it is blowing my mind. And back to the car roster selection thing. You might be aware, but rally has changed in the last decade, and the older combustion traditional style engines and their power, Formula 1 saw a bit of this regulatory change in the 70s, has made it slightly less rock and roll. That's why I used the classic McRae clip, because the sport used to be a hell of a lot more badass. The combustion engine itself is gradually disappearing, and this affects the video games as well. The noises of the cars, this unnatural boost of speed you get with the new mechanic on the start, not a lot of it sits right with me. I'm a petrol head through and through. I'm sorry, Greta. I need your feedback on something else with EA Sports. It's in the game WRC, because I've got this over on my PC. I use like a Xbox pad from 1998. Doesn't have any speakers, it barely rumbles, so I'm keen to find out if we've got that noise coming from the pads when you either hit the sides or hit some gravel. I found it unbelievably distracting over on the newer games, and I'm so glad it wasn't coming through whilst I was playing this. I couldn't find where to switch it off on the other games either, and it is kind of doing my head in massively. I'm obsessed with the sounds of the cars, and this banging and bashing, it almost sounds Roger Rabbit style, like boing, boing, totally takes the realism off. So positive stuff then with EA Sports. It's in the game WRC. Let's move on to the next one. So just to keep things simple, they're going to call this one Generations, which is the one prior to EA Sports. It's in the game WRC. There's no mention of EA Sports in this title at all. It's called the official game. So any poor sod who walks out onto the street and says, I want a brand new rally game for my brand new console, has got no idea what's going on when they look at the covers of these things. I think that's a deliberate tactic to a certain extent. I think that keeps sales going for the older rally games, you know, despite the newer ones being out. Now look at this popping. This is like when you see coral, you know, when they send out their little flumes to catch the bacteria. These bushes come and go as they feel fit. This is on a PS5. This game came out in 2022. I can't use the GTX 1660 excuse here. Oh my god.
Right 5 short into left 3 and right 4 long tightens narrows.
This is on PSN Extra at the moment. It recently came on last month. It's one of the reasons it prompted me to do the video. Now, in its defense, it does default to 30 frames per second and 4K, and it does have a toggle. We're going to look at the performance mode in a second. The pop-in has nothing really to do with that. You're just moving your resolution around and adjusting your frame rates. It's not like a terrain slider on a PC, but it's everywhere. And I was just like, is this a PS4 game? What is going on? Some tracks are worse than others, and again with the frames, sometimes they are not at 30, but we do have a very good resolution and great HDR as well. This game does buzz, it looks really good, but the pad sound is so bad on the gravel that I have to avoid them as races, and I have been through those options, I've been through that configurement, I've looked at everything in the control area. Someone help me on this one. So these are your top 3 cars. These are the best performing modern cars in the entire game. 3 of them. A friggin' Ford Puma, a Yaris, and a Hyundai. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go! And caution, right 5 over crest, downhill, keep in. And left 4 long, tightens 3, short. Watch out, stay on the track.
They do go like shit off a shovel though, I will give them that. There's also a thing going on with the zoom. You can ask a game to have the camera right next to your car, really far away from your car, in your car, right? When you go to the, which I prefer, the closest camera, it pans the damn thing out anyway as soon as you start moving. Only moves in when you slow the car down on corners and stuff, which can be a little bit disorientating for people.
The track is over there.
The game we're going to look at last kind of locks that system and makes you feel like you're a bit more in control of what you've asked for.
And right 4 tightens 3 short, into hard right left 4, 20. Hairpin right, don't cut, off camber. And hairpin left.
It does have a pretty juicy and intuitive and easy to use ghost car system, and it does show the ghost as a see-through silhouette of the car that is beating you or behind you. Why have I stated that? Don't ask, you'll see in a second. And now we've got some powder on track. We can have a look at these replays, see what sort of depth that smoke is offering. And I'm not overly impressed. Remember guys, 2022. Another reminder, we are still in our 4K 30 frames per second mode, and that does affect these replays, I think. Some sections of track, even the busy populated sort of villages, it doesn't like it. And if you're as into replays as me, frame drops, that just can't happen. I did find myself having a bit more enthusiasm for the car roster in this particular game. And something really important that the previous WRC did, this game does, and the next game also, is allows you to switch out your vehicle without having to change the track, weather variables, all of that fiddly stuff. So the joy with that, you can set a time in something and then race it with something else and not have to keep going back and forth with screens. Two surprising submissions with what I prefer in a rally video game is never really going online, setting time trials against myself, seeing how they do on worldwide leaderboards, but also not having manual gear change. Can you believe that? I still have automatic on, and it does show. Here comes that world famous Lancia Delta Integrale. Can we have a little listen? Of course you can, mate. It's your channel, we do what you want. And I think that demonstrates one of the joys of being able to keep that track the same but change that car out. You can quite literally race a legacy vehicle against something brand new, and it may even be in the performance bracket anyway, so you still get the ghost car.
5 tightens into right 5. And left 6 tightens into right 5 medium.
Okay, let's talk about the weather on WRC Generations. Not a horrendous job, but this is just rain in front of the camera. Are you with me? I don't actually see any of it landing on the track, not in engine rain.
Right 5 small cut into left 4 open.
Replays kind of the same story with those frames and performance. The 4K is definitely there, but the 30 frames, mate, we are at 12 minutes. We are not even through the second game. Can we get this 2K 60 frame per second mode on immediately and move on, please? You know, there's no need for that, is there? Well, even I can hear the echo, mate. No one's down here. You need to start moving quicker. Now, one of the noticeable aspects about adjusting this performance is it needs to be done on the main options menu. I was looking for it in-game and I didn't see it. If it wasn't for me pushing, I would never have even spotted it and sat at this game at 22 frames per second. Sweet baby Thunberg and the Orphans. Look at this.
40.
It very much helps with the replays. That's the joy of switching that over, and immediately you can tell that it's been dropping on some of the corners in the busier tracks. The pegged 60 2K is the way forward with WRC Generations. So this is WRC 10 from 2021, and we are stepping back in years as we go further up the roster for better rally games. This has been on the channel before, and if you know why. We will get to it in a second, and I'm totally pleasantly surprised by this. It is one of the cheapest on this whole roster. Because of its age, it has also got some unbelievably good performance on frames. Wow, it's crisp and smooth, and again, that is so important with a rally game.
Left 4 short 80.
Not as bad bing bang bosh noises from the pad either. They seem to have not got to it. The gear changes there though, and that's the one I don't mind because I'm not using a manual. I probably need a good loud noise to tell me when that car is racking up through the gears.
Crest into right 6 short 150.
And like with Generations, which I should have mentioned previously, there is a bit of pushback and squeeze on the triggers with these games, and there is a little bit of a rattle when you hold that brake. It is almost like a fast ticking noise. I use it to sort of time my speed scrubbing off going into corners and making it sound like I know what I'm doing.
Left 2 widens 20. Flat left and right 5 very long tightens, don't cut. Flat left 100.
I was talking about translucent ghost cars earlier, and this one in WRC 10 is yellow for some reason. It is a little bit distracting because of the snow. It might be so it stands out better. We're in the UK at the moment. We're currently under a yellow snow warning, which I think is a bit daft. Everyone knows it, just don't eat it. An absolute classic car and track here, and yes, brilliant legacy vehicle. The 80s, 90s and 70s are very well represented. They haven't held back on that. The modern cars, because the electro revolution hasn't hit the rally scene that hard, the top rosters do have a little bit of combustion engine in them, but again, it is a bit tainted by the old hybrid. But there ain't nothing hybrid about a Toyota Celica, let me tell you that much, young man. Annoyingly, you'll see here that the opposite side of that car is see-through, hasn't loaded in. So it's not all plain sailing with WRC 10, but it is certainly an impeccable performer and sporting some quite cool looking effects against those newer, bigger rally games that we've just looked at. I'm talking about the snow spray, I'm talking about these really great shadows and just the ferocity of this pace. I love this 60 FPS. Here's that cherry, as mentioned earlier, the last official WRC game to feature split screen is WRC 10 from 2021. Cry and shame, because this is hella fun. You can full on enjoy a rally game just as a hot seat thing, with passing the pad, setting a time, watching your mate just screw up around a really difficult corner that you perfected literally minutes previously. But this pulls it all into real time and it's just absolutely epic. And its performance is outstanding as a split screen racer as well. This has got to be one of the better looking vertical split screen racers on the market, up against the horizontal Dirt 5. How does WRC 10 hold up in the wets? It's actually not terrible, and remember, we don't have any performance toggles here, so this is what you're given. That Peugeot is legendary.
And left 4, big cut, 100. Right 4 cut, 80.
Those reflections are not terrible. It's an older game. You've got to expect the replays to suffer the most, and nothing is more plain than that in the following game coming up, and that is the final game on this list, I can assure you.
Caution, square right, small cut, 50. Caution, left right, small cut, into flat right. Into left 4, small cut, and square right.
But I think my message here is that WRC 10 is actually quite good, and EA probably don't want you to know that because they want you to buy their new Generations. What are they going to call the next one? WRC, it's a family affair. Just something to point out here for the geeks. I'm racing a previous time. I'm taking my previous line, but there's that random car placement.
Right 4, small cut, 250.
That just ruins it. I love the addition. The game coming up, I think, was the first to perfect it.
Left 5.
So it is Dirt 2.0, made by Codemasters. So we've gone right back round and back to that steering wheel pedal setup. Every time I look at someone who's doing like VR, or who've got the screens, you know, the 3 of them around them, or even like a robotic chair, that sort of thing, they are playing Dirt 2.0. I can't speak for these people, but apparently the VR is really good, and I remember it coming out years and years ago. Some of these games I've been slating may have really good steering wheel and pedal implementation that I haven't seen or covered. So please let me know if the newer Generations has got some amazing thing that puts it above every WRC that came before it on a steering wheel and pedal front. My god, this Escort Cosworth, no noise from the pad, no haptics though, but where we're going, boy, we don't need them. That damper valve, that's the sound of my youth. So this had a 9th gen patch, no SSD, but it sits at a pegged 60 frames per second and 1440p. That's amazing. And it's the only game on the list that features cars that have got a brake horsepower of above 300 HP. You can race a friggin' Aston Martin. It's also one of the few rally games that features Rallycross X, right? That's all asphalt, complete circuit racing. It is off the hook online. Me and my friends got so into this in about 2019, just herring round, smashing into each other, enjoying that really loose drift mechanic that you get with rally cars, but on an asphalt track.
Opens of a crest, 30, 5 left, into flat right of a jump maybe, 30, 6 right to 5 left.
This is Australia as one of the locations for the tracks, and the dust and the sun, the shadow flicker, the lovely 60 frames per second, the noise of the whole damn thing without the 2019 people. I should not be saying this.
6 right, into 6 left, 30, 4 right. Into slow, 5 left, and turn 3 right. Opens of a crest, 30, 4 left long of a crest.
We are safely back to the translucent ghost car, which is very much welcome. And I did want to say, on the music front, and all 4 of these games are guilty of this, and I don't think it's anyone's real fault, but the music on replays for rally games is worse than elevator music, because it's actually trying to do something. Do you know what it means? It's trying to entertain or build up. It is on default all the time. You have to manually turn it off. It drives me insane. That complaint is across the board.
Turn unseen, 4 left long narrow, and turn 3 right long. Opens of a crest, into 5 left long, tightens 4.
That music thing swings back, right, to the Dirt IP itself. Dirt 2 had some absolutely blinding tunes on it, including the Prodigy. It was so good at getting you revved up in gameplay and then showing you an amazing song against your replay. It was a double hit. Dirt 2.0 is not part of that party. The game itself was released on the PlayStation Network as a free packaged game. You just had to download it. It was yours from there on in. And if you know about my content, I had a change of country and couldn't access any of my legacy data from a previous profile, and unfortunately Dirt 2.0 was on there. However, it did still upload some of my lap times and time trial times, which I thought was really awesome. It does still do the server handshake. Hang on, it's the Sierra Cosworth, and I can't control this car. Not a lot of people could.
6 long, into 1 left long. Into 3 right tightens.
We've also got some very primitive looking wet look reflections. That's fair enough, it's been 5 years. But back to the point about my purchase, I found a physical copy for 20 quid and it came with the Colin McRae additional content. Unfortunately, because it's a pre-owned disc, it's not on there for me. And that's sitting on the store around £10-11. I'm so tempted. I'd love your feedback if you've tried it. I did buy some of the extra finished tracks and some of those cool Volkswagen cars and some of the Rallycross X vehicles because they cost like £1. Why is this game so much better than those WRCs? I think it's just less gimmicks, more rally, amazing car roster, one of the biggest, I think, of modern rally games, and that goes for the tracks as well. A 60 frame per second, no mess around performance, and from what I'm hearing, flawless VR integration. If this was a brand new rally game, that wouldn't be such of an outlandish statement, but this thing's 5 years old, and as I've said before in a lot of my videos, I'm concerned that the industry is not passing down its skills and excellence to the newer generation of people that are now going to build video games for us. Insert joke about the modern audience. But I think most of it is just Madden syndrome, like UFC do it as well. They just churn out the same damn cookie cutter game because they have to do it annually. Codemasters, please make another rally game like this, a really serious one. Please, just do it. I've been Couch Coop. We'll see you down there.
Colin could see a line cutting through some bushes, so of course in McRae's style he was there just to make up as much time as he could. Cuts the corner, hits a bridge parapet on the inside, and we roll.